Okay, welcome everyone. So, combination of things, watching students online and also in class. I realize there's some that people have to kind of review and realize more. That way it helps you practice really. So the basic Trinity, natural principles, all right? Basic natural principles. Yin and yang. 5 elements, and we'll just say 8 trigrams. That is the I Ching. So, what are these, right? The basics, what are these? Yin and yang, day and night, hot and cold, male and female, tall and short. It's a way to compare things, okay? 5 elements expands on that and starts getting more into balance and rhythm of things. 5 elements is more like the seasons. So if you think of a day changing to night, right? The morning is the most yang. I'm sorry, the morning is yin to yang. The middle of the day is the most yang. Then the evening is yang changing to yin, and then the night is the most yin. But that's covered in more detail in the 5 elements. Then what are the 5 elements? For those who raise your hand if you don't know what the 5 elements are. Everybody knows. Okay. Fire, water, wood, earth, metal. And their phases, like I said, seasons. So if I draw it this way, fire, earth, metal, water, wood. This is a creation cycle. This is a rhythm, just like your days. Many ways, actually, but just the basics. So what is the morning? What is like, I think I need to. Much better. Okay, so wood is like earth, spring, sprouts. Fire, summertime, okay? Fire is the most active. Wood is the beginning, fire is the most active. Earth is sort of a transition. So you can say late summer, Indian summer. What else do they call that? Not quite fall yet, because metal is fall and water is winter. In our practice, you can even line them up. Wood being just getting things flowing is your warm up, right? Can also be qigong, focusing on just getting things moving, right? The beginning. Fire is a vigorous workout. Fire is like sprinting, right? Something, exerting yourself hard, more intense, high intensity, spending energy. Earth, well, when we look at 5 elements related to what we have to do to be healthy, the earth is our body itself. So the body itself is, how do you make the body? It's food. People showing up late. Hello. There she is. Hi, Kiana. I remember you, Miss Marcon. All right, so we're talking natural principles here. Metal being the fall, metal being like cool down, metal being like going into the evening, end of the day, right? You're tired, you want to relax. Happy hour at the bar, maybe. And then water is the nighttime. It's like sleep, right? What would be water in, I'm sorry, let's go back. So earth would be your food to develop your body, right? Physical body made up of what you eat. You are what you eat, literally, the building blocks. So earth being the body, metal. So metal is compression, consolidation. And what do we do with the life force around us? We bring it into our body and make it part of us. So that's breathing. Condensing. Water would be meditation. So in the day, water is night. You know, every day, water is the nighttime. In the seasons, water is the wintertime. In our practice, water is meditation. And from meditation, you calm the mind, you save energy, you move into start getting moving, and that again is your warm-up, or it can be qigong, circulate, all right? But that's the basic 5 elements. There's a creation cycle, and there's a destruction cycle. So water conquering fire, fire conquering metal, metal to wood, earth to water. Got it? There's a test next week on this. Yes, sir?
So I noticed that of the 5 elements, fire is the only one that can't exist by itself.
Can't?
Right. You can't just have fire, you have to have something to burn.
Yeah, that's why we say that one spends energy. How can wood exist by itself?
Well, the trees.
What?
The tree is wood.
How does it exist by itself? It needs water, it needs fire.
No, but I mean, it's just there. You know, you can just find it. You can't pick up and kind of make fire.
I would disagree. I see what you're saying, but I would disagree. Everything here, that's what this whole is, it's all needed. It's all needed. The tree is not just there. This is wood, it comes from the tree, that's just there, but that's not alive. The tree is alive. The tree, if it doesn't have fire, water, air, if it doesn't have everything it needs, it dies, right? Yeah, it has to have everything in balance. That's why this is a good question to teach something about this. 5 elements in abundance is the rainforest. You have the most growth, right? Everything in abundance. You go to the desert, 5 elements is completely out of balance. A lot of fire, very little water, right? So you're not going to have much growth, minimal. See how they're all relying, it's actually an observation of the natural world, and it's phases of the natural world. Earth can also be, no earth, you have nothing. You can say it's in between all of them. It's the root of all of them, okay? Everything's coming from the earth. You're not going to find a tree just there floating in the air. It's got to be in the earth. See how that works, right? Okay. Any questions there? Yes, sir?
Does that only go clockwise? I mean,
It goes both ways. No, that's a more advanced question, and it's not, we don't need to know all that, honestly. But it goes both ways. So you can put out a fire with water, right? He's asking if it can go both ways. You can put out a fire with water. Can you turn water into steam and get rid of it with fire? Yeah, fire, too much fire will overcome water. That's a counter effect. Everything going the opposite way. Too much of one thing can go the other way. So, I wasn't planning to go too much detail with this, but this is mother, child, or parent, child, parent, child, parent, child. See? If the child is too demanding, it damages the mother. See that? But the normal progression is parent to child. You kind of get it? So anybody interested, I think one of the best old books on this is The Web That Has No Weaver. It's a very layperson's explanation of Chinese medicine, Chinese philosophy from this perspective. It really shows you how they see the body from a whole different perspective. Web that has no weaver, Tej Kapchuk, I believe. And there's another one, Heaven and Earth, I think. It just gets more into the, if you're interested in deeper than, but what do we need for Bagua and for health? That's our main focus here. Okay, so let's move on. So the 8 trigrams is the concept of yin and yang changing. So, you know, you have the trigram, this is a trigram. That's heaven, 3 solid lines. It's 3 yang lines, is heaven. So there's 8 of these. How many ways can you combine them? You have 3 yin lines, that's earth, heaven and earth, you see? And then you're gonna also have fire, fire, water, and on and on. They're all up there, right? That's the, but what that's representing is yin and yang changing. What is 5 elements representing? Yin and yang balancing and creating. You see? Cycles. So it all comes back to yin and yang. Why am I teaching this? I mean, it's good to have the basic understanding of this, but how does it help your practice? Because you can get so into the philosophy that you miss the application. So, yin and yang, we can say, is breathing, internal, yang is external eating, breath and food, right? Air and food, we could say. 2 opposites. One's physical, one's considered internal. You think too much? Do you know the brain uses 12 times the oxygen of the rest of the body? The cells in the brain? This is internal. That's why a person working in an office all day, on the computer, think, they're exhausted at the end of the day, just like a farmer or a bricklayer, construction worker, right? They're both tired, but they're tired for different reasons. One uses the physical body, they need more food to replenish and build it up. One is more mental energy, it's the breathing. And of course, the less you have oxygen reaching the cells, the more exhausted you'd be, the more problem you'd be. It's like you don't think straight, right? Then 5 elements is having balance in your practice. How much of this, how much of that? How much fast, how much slow? When you think of the 5 elements, can you include that? For example, so some people, well, I know it's not just some people, a lot of people feel like we've been working on this complicated Qigong set, right? Saturdays, Mondays, Wednesdays, Qigong class. The first step is to learn the sequence, what to do. And a lot of people get stuck there. A lot of people get stuck with just what to do. But this is all how to do. You can make a form more fire, meaning go lower, more struggle. You use more energy, right? It's harder, but harder makes you develop more. You put more demand, the brain reacts, puts more energy in the body to actually replenish that, makes you stronger. If you don't challenge your body, it gets weaker, and we get older faster. But what's the right amount of challenge? That's understanding the 5 elements. It's not about the details of the 5 elements, it's the concept of balance. More yin, more yang. How much of each? So if you want to work more on wood, what would that be? Now, fire is spending energy, more exerting yourself, but wood is more focusing on just circulation, more relaxed circulation. So what's different? Try to move in a relaxed way. Then water, go back to water. How do we work on that? We said meditation. But What if I'm talking about that complicated set that everybody's learning, and we're staying with it a little longer. The complicated set frustrates because it's hard to learn, hard to remember, you know, sophisticated movements, difficult to learn, right? What direction am I supposed to turn? How do I remember this? But if just what you can remember, you focus. That's why the basic Qi exercise can be the best Qigong, depending on your goal. Because it's a simple thing, just concentrate on a simple movement, on what it feels like. But this whole thing is supposed to develop your focus and your feeling. So you go to the other extreme where it's more difficult movement, it's supposed to get to the same depth of mind with more movement. In other words, you want to get as much water into the changes. Bagua is the complexity. Bagua is the expansion into all parts of the body, right? The more joints you move, the more circulation you affect. The more focus you have, the more your mind becomes yours. And that's why if we get caught up or frustrated with the movement, we're stressing, we're not having this effect. Because what makes frustration? In this case, judgment. You're judging that you should get it faster. Or you think getting the movement right is the end all be all so you can benefit, when actually just trying to do it with focus, you're still having this effect. You're still having this effect. Wood, because of movement. Move more correctly, move more wood. More focus, more water. More exertion, more fire. More balance, not yin and yang balance. Balance. You know, be able to be more stable, more what? What? That was a good guess, but that's different. I'll explain that. Earth. Your physical body ability to center is earth. Metal is something more like, you know, when I did that application, the idea or the kick. So I had big Mr. Fellner kicking at me, big leg, right? And I made him move, right? So the way I did that was metal. I took the position. But you said hard on hard, and yeah, but my metal application in there means I'm not doing what you think. It's not hard against hard. I'm just controlling the position, and the other can't. That's metal. So metal is like the big rock. You have to go around. Get it? But that's a martial concept. So yeah, you do a form. One is balance so you don't fall, and one is structure that you move off of. That's metal. Your position is solid versus not losing balance. Kind of makes sense? Okay. So that's why over time you start to be able to appreciate how the natural principles move into how you practice. And how you practice is so much about how you focus. Because you can just run on a treadmill watching TV, or you can practice with 100% attention and intention on what you're doing. Okay? And just to reiterate, the movement, wood, is actually the concept of this. The movement, the circulation. So more parts of the body creates more circulation in the body. What you move attracts blood flow, chi and blood flow. So you stand still, your body can get very stable, structurally sound, and relaxed. But if you move, it's always better. Automatically more circulation. You relax, your body's going to have more chi and blood flow. You move with relaxation and tension and relaxation, you're going to have more blood flow. So whatever part of the body you move, that's why a complex set with all this stuff is actually just bringing more joints into it, but it's also, think about it. I said this can be the best Qigong, right? Very easy to focus, right? You can take basic Fanjang too. Very easy to focus. One thing. You make it complicated, you do many different things, this gets more challenged. What happens when you challenge your brain more? Circulation in the brain, literally. You develop your brain. You know how people do crosswords so they don't get Alzheimer's? You heard of that? It doesn't do much. Nothing compared to using your body. Nothing compared to using your body, because your body is an expression of your brain. So if you don't move your body much, your brain is going down. The more sophisticated the movement, the more your brain has to be sophisticated. It literally has to make more connections. So it's not just working memory for memory or just thinking for your brain, because less thinking is what we're doing with meditation, aren't we? So we want the brain to relax. One of the things about thinking so much is the stress it creates. Stress can cause 90+% of illnesses we have. Stress creates tension. Tension stops circulation. So you think about it, too much thinking. You watch yourself or somebody older, you tell them something, they forget. Why? Is this dementia? Is it? I would say probably not clinical in most cases. It's lack of focus. They didn't really listen to you because they're thinking too much. So thinking more to train the brain versus thinking less, applying water, I would go with thinking less. Because in our lives, we already have enough thinking. Agree? Worry, guilt, fear, all the things in our brains. Think. Try not to think. Virtually impossible. But you try not to think. How? I'm trying to be confusing with the way I said it. You try not to think. How? How do you try not to think? Say again? Good answer. He said thinking. You try not to think by thinking. Yeah, because it feels like it's impossible. You try not to think by thinking. How do you not think? How do you stop thinking? How do you slow the mind? How do you meditate?
Focus on one thing.
Yes, sir. So that's where we get into this is from Herbert Benson. I never forgot relaxation response. He traveled the world studying meditation methods all over the world, came up with these 4 components. It's true everywhere. It's true for our style, and true for India, wherever you go. So you need a quiet place. This is especially important when you're starting out. You need a quiet place. That's why it's good to have your own special place, inside or outside. If it's inside, open a window. Try to get some fresh air, okay? But a park, your yard, something, special place that you also feel safe. Nobody can sneak up on you and hurt you or whatever. You're safe. Plus startle you. You don't want to be startled. Safe place where you can sit. You need a comfortable position. If you're uncomfortable, that's why we go to meditation after this. If you're uncomfortable, your brain's going to focus on being uncomfortable. When is this going to be over? I can't hold, I'm getting numb, this hurts. And you're thinking again. So you want to align yourself so you're just basically like stacked, you know. You have this on top of this on top of this. It aligns yourself. So my daughter woke up the other day with a stiff neck, 12 years old. And I explained to her, think of your head like a bowling ball that you have to balance over your body. And if that bowling ball is just 1 inch forward, if it was 20 pounds to hold, you know, that's over your body, you don't feel it much. You go 1 inch forward, it's like 40 pounds. All those muscles strain to hold it. You go another inch, it's like 60 pounds, 80 pounds. Your body's straining to hold that same head that if it was lined up over you, it would be less difficult, less strain, less struggle. That's how you meditate. That's how you walk the circle. See, Bagua takes stillness and puts it in motion. Body perfectly still, aligned, stacked, just like meditation. And then you walk, you move. And you learn how to get that position like metal while moving. Very perfect. But sitting, right, we're talking about, because circle turns into meditation. But I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So you need to be comfortable by posture. And then the right chair for your size or cushion for your size. Because if you're forcing yourself into a full lotus and you're uncomfortable, that has to be done gradually. Get a good cushion for yourself. It's better also because your knees, your legs can get stretched in ways that are naturally not good. So, quiet place, comfortable position. Passive attitude. What's this? This is the problem with people. You're struggling with the form and you start judging yourself. You start getting frustrated. You start getting aggravated. You start, thinking, I can't do this. This is not helping anything. So whether you're sitting quietly trying to meditate or learning a form, it's the same rule. Stop. And that's why these are in how I talk you into meditation when we go Thursday nights. I go through these. That's what that's based on. No judgment, just practice. We label and judge all the time. The more we practice this, the less in our day-to-day lives will we label and judge, which makes less stress, less frustration, less energy wasted. Then you feel more positive, you feel lighter, better circulation, automatically better health. Now, what's missing? You said it. What's missing? Focal point. You need something to focus on. So when somebody tells you, sit quietly, don't think. Some say, watch your thoughts go by like a cloud, all these other things. It's all fine, but the best way to teach someone, or the best way for yourself to get into meditation, is have a focal point. You know what can be the best focal point? People don't think about this. And this is something that can make your life better. Not just because you're meditating, but because the method you use is a good habit. Think of something that makes you smile. And that's why we have a flower meditation. But you can just imagine a beautiful flower and just automatically you feel better. Beautiful flower. That same concept though, when you're stressed and worried or angry or something, you could think of a puppy licking your face or a baby smile, laughing, and right away inside you feel better, you feel lighter. Because you're controlling your thoughts by focusing on something you want to focus on for the feeling you want, not for the bad feeling or stress or anger or fear. You think about that. Meditation teaches you this so you can control your mind. You can control your thoughts. You can control your life. Or more specifically, how you respond to your life. Not so much you can do the world around you. But people who tend to focus this way, let's just say the universe seems to bend a little more in their favor. You decide how that affects your life. That's been my experience. You're negative all the time, you're worried all the time, you're afraid all the time. You create an environment that attracts that because also your attention goes to the negative things. You focus more on the positive things, you have a better feeling. You'll be very surprised how you'll be more attracted to the more positive things, the things that make you feel better. Better things tend to happen in your life. Not 100%, but more so. It's been my experience. See for yourself how that works. Herbert Benson actually wrote a second book, and he added a fifth one. I haven't brought this up too much, but this is an important one. This is really good for martial arts students, especially in this system, because it's a very sophisticated system. It's very challenging. Anybody know what the last one is? Dun, 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 dun. Faith. Belief. It can be trust. Like, I'm teaching you, you have to trust me. Otherwise, you keep challenging yourself, arguing with me or yourself. Am I wasting my time? He doesn't know what he's talking about. If you feel like that, you can't learn. But it's the same thing. We teach you how to meditate, and you sit there and you can't, you say you can't meditate? You don't have any faith. You have to trust that this is real. And if you spend the time, you'll get it. And if there's any advantage I've had learning over a lot of people, when I chose a teacher, I need the 100% to trust them. They're teaching me something. If I argue, I waste time, I waste energy, and I don't have enough knowledge to judge it. Think about that. I don't know what they know. So my faith has to be, they know better, and there's a reason why they're teaching me that. So this is the old traditional way. There's a saying, it takes 3 years to find a teacher, and then 3 years for the teacher to test that student to see if they even want to teach them. So these old traditional ways, it creates this like a bond that the teacher's trying to help the student to go to the highest level they can. And it's all here. When I first learned this, my teacher said, you have to hear this at least 7 times before you even start to comprehend it. It's like a different language. You start to understand the language after you've heard the same thing over and over and over and over. That's why I used to sit on the edge of my seat with a notebook, write the same darn thing so many times. It starts to, then it's automatic. But why am I teaching this now? Because you have to approach sitting or simple to complex with the same process. The same process. You know, like I told you, close your eyes and feel, right? That was my experience. That's what helped me, because I couldn't get how the wave gets to that place. I know exactly the struggle you're having. It wasn't like, people forget. I don't know who. I've said many things the same, over and over, but I've had a teacher where they just like, they laugh. They teach me something, they laugh, they go like this and walk out of the room. Nothing came easy. I wanted to get it. So I just kept doing it. And that's where the faith came in. I said, I'm with this teacher for a reason. So anyway, practice, practice, practice. Then you start to understand the same attitude, the same approach that you do sitting in meditation, you turn it into moving meditation. Now your body is the focal point. And your body is doing all these things with the movement. This one really represents movement. It's like taking it from not moving to moving. It's from this emptiness to all things. It's the creation theory from a Chinese perspective. You can look that up. It's very interesting. Wuji, the Taiji, with yin and yang, 5 elements, all the way down Bagua, 64 changes, and then it's infinite. And that's why with the trigrams, there's 3, but then you could put 3 and 3 is 6, or a hexagram, and then they continue to expand yin and yang. The whole universe is made up of that. All the codes that we have in computers, the way we have phones today, everything, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. You know that? I know there's other languages, they expand on it, but the basic, how do they teach to the machine? 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. You know, it's like many, many ways to combine it. That's yin and yang, exactly the same. So Bagua is in all our computations, the highest levels. How we can get a rocket ship to Mars. So the last thing I wanted to mention is hand, body, step, and more specifically, or an expansion on it, because this, especially for martial, but Qigong is to develop the martial, is how your body works as a unit. The hand, the body, and the step all need to go together. So, okay, stepping is going to be how you move in space. The body and the hand have to be one, and then coordinated with the step. So you have the step, what's my stance? What's my posture? What's my position? And then just the step, actually stepping through. But you know, you have stance 1 through 7, right? All the different, like I was telling you earlier, Mr. Mallory, the stance 1, drop it to stance 4. It's like, so one of the things you can, what's my focal point? What stance am I in? See that? That's the step. The step is the stance. Another focal point, my technique. What is my body and my hand doing? Remember earlier, you started doing this and I said, you gotta be, right, so what are my hands supposed to be doing? That's why understanding some application really helps. Because what? You have to have the focal point, intention. You have to have intention of what you're doing in order to bring it to life. So you can say, you need to add this to this once you have the coordination. Hand, body, step works together, but you have to have intention for it to work right. Otherwise, it's just dancing, right? So you can ask yourself 3 things. 1, what's the stance or the step? What are my legs doing? What's the technique? Attack, defense, okay, technique. The body and the hand have to go together, right? They have to go with the step too, but we're talking about where to focus. My footwork, my stance, my hand work, or technique, could be kick, the technique. Am I doing this right? And then, you know, you can't, you know, people do, without intention, right? Running on the treadmill, watching TV. You're exercising, but your brain isn't connected to it. Does that make sense? So that's why I understand when something's too sophisticated, you get frustrated. But break it down to chunks that you can understand. That's why simple to more complicated. When you're not ready for complicated, I get it, it's frustrating. Where do I focus? I can't even get this, remember this. Yeah, but never forget passive attitude. Because it's still an experience, and we're still trying to learn how to control our mind and ultimately our emotion, right? How we feel, so that we can benefit from our practice. So no matter what the movement is, from simple to complex, it needs to get to the point of meditative benefit. That's why walking in the circle really covers everything. Moving meditation. Okay, I'm going long, so. Any question on this before we go to meditation? Anybody need clarity? You need to raise your hand if so, otherwise, it's time. Okay, get a comfortable position.